Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be making a new wasteboard for our CNC machine. It makes functionality way easier than before, and it's got some pretty cool handy features as well. Plus, I'm going to show you the couple projects that first came off of that new wasteboard. Here they are. They are stools, they are planters, they are awesome is what they are. So let's get into it. Okay, so first a little overview. What exactly is a CNC wasteboard or a spoil board? It is basically an MDF surface that the router can cut into because you may need to cut pieces completely out of a sheet. Okay, so it's extremely flat, it's extremely soft, and it doesn't damage the router bits, whatnot, and the functionality of MDF is pretty cool here because you can flatten it to be dead flat, and you're gonna have to do that. You may think that when you install MDF on a CNC that it is dead flat, and it might be, who knows? But the best thing to do is actually to run a flattening pass once you're finished. So this is a little bit more intricate than what I was using before. Before I just had a piece down, I flattened it, and I was tacking the pieces in place. I put a piece of plywood down, tack it in place with brad nails, and then I was taking it apart with this. This is one of these kind of oscillating saws. I'd basically clip the corners off, and eventually what would happen is that the MDF would start to dip because that was just eroding away the MDF. Eventually, when I would put a piece down and clamp it down to the four corners, the piece would bow a little bit. No good for the CNC. This eliminates all of that. So without further dudes, let's get right into it. Okay, here we go. I've got a new piece of MDF installed on the CNC. I've got 7 different T-tracks, so I need to cut 8 different pieces of MDF strips. These are going to be 3 inches in width, and they are as long as the new board is on the CNC. I do have to trim down these T-tracks, so I use one of the pieces of MDF we just cut as a reference, scribe it with a line, and cut it at the bandsaw. So anytime you cut aluminum on any type of woodworking saw, the edges can be a little bit rough, so I've installed some stop blocks here, and we're going to take care of the sanding all in one pass. Then I turn my attention to the 3-inch MDF strips. I'm going to put a slight chamfer on these. Probably wasn't necessary due to the fact I still have to do a flattening pass, but at least the edges that will be shown will still look good. After making a mark down the middle of each piece of MDF, now time to put a line perpendicular to that down every 10 inches or so. Over to the drill press now, we're going to take a countersink bit and we're going to drill this in pretty far. This countersink goes in probably, I would say about a ½ inch or so. Reason being is you don't want these screw heads to be anywhere near the surface when you do any type of routing on your CNC machine. The last thing you want is for your bits just to hit a bunch of stainless steel screws. That's no good. Now it's time to install the first MDF strip and then butt up a T-track right against that. I use a self-centering drill bit to really make sure everything is perfectly aligned. These screws, yeah, you could probably do it by eye, but why run the risk? You don't want anything getting out of alignment. Of course, take your time, make sure everything's lined up just right, and the process goes pretty simply. 1 piece of MDF, 1 piece of T-track, so on and so forth. As you work your way down, make sure everything just stays in alignment. And there you go, that's it complete, but we gotta flatten it. And I'm using a 1-inch flattening bit here. Sorry I didn't show it, I had the dust shroud on, but you wanna flatten that surface down. And on the corners here, can you believe this? I actually have a hand tool. I'm actually using a chisel. But yeah, sometimes you need them. And I went ahead and trimmed up the MDF on the corners as well, and there you go. Now, one cool feature about this, where the placement is on this, is that I made sure that when I did the flattening pass, it put 2 reference lines, one here and one here. Now I've got a 90-degree reference on the east and south side of the machine. So at this point, we're gonna go into VCarve Pro by Vectric. I'll link them down below as well. And we're gonna go ahead and design something. Well, you probably saw it in the beginning. These are 2 stools or 2 planters, you name it. And we're gonna go ahead and set up the bit. This is a 1/8-inch compression bit by Bits and Bits. Of course, I'll link them too, along with Penguin CNC. We're gonna touch it down. We're gonna give it a reference point to let it know exactly how deep our piece is. And then here you go. Quick little time lapse of the entire thing being cut out all at once. I'll say those hold downs worked really well. A little bit of dust removal, and it's time for some sanding. We're gonna lightly sand the edges and chamfer all the edges of all these pieces, and then it's time for some assembly. This thing goes together pretty simply. Took me a few tries to dial these tolerances in to be just so where you could hand put them in, but yet they still would be hard enough to not take out very easily. Everything is just a compression fit, hammered in place with a mallet, and there you go. You got yourself a nice kid stool or a planter. And of course, I've got more ideas and more things coming down the pipe for sure. This was a fun little project to do. I really appreciate you guys being here and checking it out. So this thing came out awesome. And one question that you might have is that what happens when you have to do flattening passes over and over again after you cut in the material various times over the next few weeks or months? Well, that's the beauty of this system, is that I can cut 3-inch strips of 1-inch thick MDF again and just replace those pieces as needed, which is one of the design features that I thought would be coming really handy, and it does. I haven't had to replace them yet, but I don't see an issue with it. So that's this project complete, kind of a 2-for-1. I showed you a spoil board and how I am kind of, well, I guess you could say I'm prototyping some things. Hey, I'm gonna let you know something too. Since you're here, you're at the very end of the video, you're the Glimpse Inside faithful, and there is, if you're on my second channel, you know this, and on Instagram, but there is a new Instagram account that I have. It's called Why Not Ply. And I love plywood so much that I figured, I think other people may too. And I'm prototyping different things, different products, and the Instagram account is very, very new in its infant stages. Plus, I've also got the domain locked up as well. And we are gonna start another venture here at A Glimpse Inside. I think it's gonna be cool. I got some creativity going on in this brain of mine that wasn't there until I got the CNC, and I didn't know it was there. And I think it's gonna be a good investment. A good investment on time and materials to really try this new venture. So if you want to see the early infant stages, nothing crazy yet. We haven't launched it yet, but it's called Why Not Ply. Again, the links are down below. I have Why Not Ply as a Instagram account, like I said, and plus follow me on Instagram as well, my main account as well. We do some pretty cool stuff there too. So yeah, figured I'd let you know. As luck would have it, about 30% of you make it to this far, and I think you guys are the true fans, and you might kind of want to see what ventures we're going on here. And, that's the idea. This YouTube channel is a blessing to me, and it's done well. But there could be so much more out there in this community, and I just want to give back and add some variety to it. So thanks, guys. My name's Chris. I'll see you on the next video. Until then, take care.